All right, welcome. And I don't know that anybody's here yet. Yeah, this is an odd time for me to go live, but it just works. It works for me personally, and so people will catch it later if they want it. Yes, I'm going live again tonight, okay, at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That will not include the astrology. I'm talking about the astrology right now, okay? But tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll do tarot. Okay, so hopefully the astrology is going to give it context and make it all make sense. Hopefully. All right. So I'm going to give you in this live, I will give you a general overview. We'll talk about the transits and then we will close out by talking about how this is likely going to uniquely impact you. And I've been putting out some messages on my channel letting you guys know I've been feeling the energy. I think it's very uplifting, positive. I've been in better spirits personally, and that might be because I've got a lot of Pisces placements, and so if you have significant Pisces placements, or Sagittarius placements, you're probably going to feel quite a boost and a lift off of this energy. And I see people are joining in. T. Witten, thanks for joining. And I felt like T. Witten said it right when she said that this is a plot twist. Oh yeah, it's a plot twist because I mean that was some heavy stuff going on. October, November, right, with the eclipses. Okay, so this is a nice change. And by the way, the cards that I'm going to be pulling for y'all tonight are going to be really positive, uplifting. We are going to get away from the heaviness of the last two lives that we did. Okay, we are going to get into talking about the blessings and the benefits and getting some creative inspiration. And I'm also going to be look at this. I gotta tell y'all just really quick. I have a rose of Jericho here that I'm gonna have blooming while we're going live tonight, okay? But look, I've got the orange calcite. I've got three of these carnelian hearts, and I've got aventurine, and it's very much has to do. These stones here have a lot to do, and crystals have a lot to do with really having this creative burst, okay, and really setting off on a new adventure. That's what we're talking about when we talk about Sagittarius, okay, and had to add a little bit of Aries fire there. But anyway, this is a rose of Jericho. They call it a resurrection plant because it looks dead, right? But you water it and it'll come back to life, and that's kind of the general energy that um, we're in right now, where it looked like there was a lot of death going on with those eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio, but bam shazam, now we're at the new moon in Sagittarius, full of optimism. And I've been telling y'all, I told y'all, you want to launch something, this is the time. And I don't know if you've been seeing, I've been putting out videos. I have just been launching all over the place, bam 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 bam. Gosh, I launched stuff on my Etsy, I launched stuff on Society 6. I am launching my channel. If you're an Aquarian or you want Aquarius readings for free, you can go to my Team Aqua Tarot channel that I first video is premiering tonight at 6:30 p.m. Check out my community page if you want a link to it, okay? I'm just saying, God, launch something, do something new, because the energy is so, so positive. All right, let me get into what we're here to talk about. Because I just, I got off on a whole Sagittarian adventure there with my communications. I went off script, right? We had to go off script. All right, so I think overall this is an energy of us transcending the fears of eclipse season, the sober reality checks. This is us dreaming bigger than our fears. And yeah, it brings a plot twist. It's a lovely plot twist, T. Witten. Um, but yes, we can't ignore the fact that a lot of us are picking up the pieces and starting over post eclipse season. Um, we probably collectively got a lot of sober reality checks about what's enduring in our lives, what's not, what's stable and secure versus what's not, and what you can trust versus what you can't. And through all of these revelations, you may have realized, like I have, that boy, you got some mountains to move, okay? But the good news is that this energy of the new moon in Sagittarius today is giving us a lot of supportive energy to move the mountains in our lives. Yes, we probably have all had to face some scary, sober circumstances, things that were not optimistic, okay? But the energy is now supporting us to look upon these events as more of an adventure if we can. Okay, I know it's like some people can do this easier than others, right? If you're having trouble accepting what has come out of eclipse season, that can be, hard. It could be harder, I should say, for you to take. Because yeah, I think that the eclipse has brought things to our realization, things that we don't maybe want to accept, but we have to accept. And the more you cling on to it and don't let go of it and release it and surrender to it, the harder it's going to be to really see these energies and feel them and experience them in more of this benefic tone that I think is the intention here. I don't know, honestly, like Spirit is stepping in saying, okay, let's lighten this up a bit. How can we look at this through a new lens, a new perspective? If you're a fire sign, you may be able to do this easier. Me personally, I've noticed like the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, they're able to kind of walk things off a little bit easier. Where, the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, we'll tend to get in our feels about it. The air signs, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, we tend to kind of overthink it and analyze it and get analysis paralysis. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, maybe you just keep trying to keep going and doing and plodding along, and trying the tried and true. But this is a time of thinking outside the box, doing something new, transcending circumstances. And I tell you, as I was doing a little bit of research on the astrology, this song was playing in my head. I haven't heard it in eons. It's from the 80s. I had to even look it up because I didn't even know the artist. I don't listen to this music, but I could hear it. It was that song from the 80s, where he says, "Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Ain't nothing gonna slow me down. I gotta keep on moving." So I really feel that that's the overall energy here, where yes, we're coming out of eclipse season, maybe having looked at our own limitations within ourselves and circumstances that are quite limiting. But now with the new moon in Sagittarius, there's this more of a philosophical tone, and more of this way of looking at life of, okay, but how can I? Maybe looking at how can't you before, now it's how can I? Okay, this is getting creative, coming up with some creative ideas, creative solutions. Some of you may be tapping into creative finance, having some creative conversations with people of, let's acknowledge the reality here. Let's acknowledge the limitations and the weaknesses and all of that. But how can we transcend these limitations? It's less talking the problem and more talking the solution now, which I think is always helpful. There's a time and a place for everything. We gotta know what reality is in order to deal with it effectively. But Now it's like, okay, let's deal, since we addressed all of that. And I do think that now we have a better understanding of what we need to do. At least I think if you tune into it spiritually, your life has been showing you through people and circumstances. It's been showing you through the eclipse season, what we need to do each individually to get beyond the fallout of eclipse season, and how actually, tangibly, practically, logistically, how do you get beyond the fallout of eclipse season. And so you might be like me, where you suddenly find yourself, again, particularly if you are Sagittarius, if you have prominent Sagittarius, Pisces placements, maybe if you are fire sign, feeling this lightness suddenly coming to you, enabling you and maybe even others around you to give more generously to a new day and a new way. Okay. So, yes, with new moons, a lot of people set intentions, and that's something I want to encourage y'all to think about. Look at where Sagittarius is at 1 degree within your natal birth chart. If you don't know, right, I do private readings. Links are in the description box if you were interested in that. But essentially, wherever Sag at 1 degree is showing up in your natal chart, that is telling you where the themes of growth and spiritual development are occurring for you, and also travel and personal development and expansion. Really positive. I would also say look at where Jupiter is, because that's showing where all of this good fortune, all this benefic energy is for you. Very important to know. I'd say anytime. Like, if I were to do a reading, private reading for anybody, I usually always include where's Jupiter in their chart. Where's Saturn? Yeah, because Saturn is where's the limitations, but I think a lot of y'all are pretty clear on that. Okay, but if you're struggling to transcend the limitations, look at where Jupiter is as well in your natal chart, because that's telling you where you might be able to get a lucky break or get some type of relief. Okay, where the energy is actually supporting you with that. But going back to this new moon and where it's hitting your chart, let me just say that when I go live again tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will talk about the astrology per zodiac sign. We're doing all signs except Gemini. Again, was not requested. I don't know why. I'm apparently not a fan of Geminis. Whatever, just go with it. But unless you're Gemini, I will be talking about where this is hitting your natal chart. Of course, you need to know your rising sign. That will be most accurate in a general reading, but nothing is as accurate as a private reading. Most of y'all know this. Anyway, as far as setting intentions tonight, I think that the new beginning is about you tuning into your visionary and your spiritual abilities, and really looking at what is the truth of your situation and how can you transcend that reality. What is going on in your life right now that is freedom giving, empowering? What's upgrading and uplifting you spiritually? And try to give energy to these things, and try to do that as much as possible, like fully, okay? Not half-heartedly, but fully, because this is a very far-reaching, impacting energy. For example, like I said earlier, I mentioned how I'm launching I didn't just launch one thing today. I have my new channel, that the first video is premiering today. I launched stuff, new products on Society 6, a couple about I guess it was yesterday. And I even put new services and products out on Etsy, and that's going to continue going on. But this example is to share with you, not only could you be using these creative inspirational ideas and downloads that you're getting at this time, setting new intentions relevant in the here and now today and in the next 2 weeks, but also consider 6 months from now when we have a full moon in Sagittarius. Right? So, like, even though I'm starting that channel today, I don't know that that's fully going to, it's like I'm planting a seed. Think of it that way. Whatever you're doing right now is like seed planting, and you might not really get it to fully harvest until 6 months from now, but so mindfully, okay, that this is something that could really reap an abundant harvest for you, an untold harvest for years to come. So plant your seeds wisely tonight. Okay, let's talk about the transits and the aspects. We have Saturn in Aquarius and Pluto in Capricorn. They're now direct. Thank God, hallelujah, right? That time of retrograde was exposing. We were having to re-examine issues having to do with integrity, what's sustainable and what's not. And also Pluto retrograde was exposing what needs to change. Okay, what needs to be reworked, restructured, what has staying power, what needs to change. Okay, Mars is now trining Saturn, which is helping us to direct our energies responsibly and to be a lot more disciplined and to take higher ground. It is also helping to temper any kind of excessive energies coming forth with all of this Jupiter, which we'll talk about in a moment, okay, where we can get a little too optimistic. And I've caught myself, like, I'm trying to stay grounded even though I feel like really kind of high on this energy. Sorry to use that word. That's the best word I can put on. I'm totally, absolutely sober, okay? But being an empath, having a lot of Pisces placements, right? Moon, Jupiter in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, Black Moon Lilith in Pisces, okay? I am just soaking it up like a sponge, and I'm having to, like, use my air sign, my Aquarius placements to say, like, be logical here, be grounded. And so some of you, again, if you're getting caught up into the optimism, yeah, write it, enjoy it, but try to stay anchored in reality, okay? And I do feel that Mars trine Saturn is there to help us if we use the energies in that way, okay? Also, though, be aware that Mars is still retrograde in Gemini, and it will remain that way for, I think, up until mid-January, okay? So there's a lot of mental energy going on, pushing us to re-examine past efforts. Like, right, I went back to Society 6, and a platform I abandoned, like, in 2019. I haven't worked on it since, and I don't know, I just got a wild Sagittarian hair. Like, I'm gonna go throw some products up. Like, who does this, Definitely not me, but I did it under this energy. And so you could go back and rework and try to revive something creatively that maybe you had a creative block in the past, and now you're going back reworking it. And I'm going to also say Mars is not just how you are asserting yourself out in public. Mars is also sexual energy. So with this Mars retrograde, some of you perhaps reconciling with past sexual partners, which I myself have been doing over the last few days, weeks. I found myself doing it. It's not necessarily that you get back with that person or that you sleep with them again, right? It's maybe you talk, right? Mars and Gemini. These are conversations. You try to have an understanding, a meeting of the minds, and that may be all that you do in the way of reconciling with that person who perhaps in the past you really had deep intimacy with, okay? Or at least on the physical level, right? Let me see. I've got some comments coming in. Let me see. Nana's here. Steve Sild is here from Estonia. Good to see you, Steve. Steve says, hello, hope I'm not too late to the party. You're not. You're not. Nun says, you guys can call me Evie or Evelyn. Thanks for joining, Nun, aka Evelyn. Um, all right, so yeah, Nun's saying no sexual partners in over 15 years. I'm good. Yeah, well, I mean, so let me say it like this. You might not find yourself talking with these people and reconciling anything, but I think with the energy, we could at least be going there in our heads, like trying to think. It's just a possible manifestation of the energy. Obviously, if you don't want to use the energy in that way, you know, you don't have to. You could use it creative ventures, right? This is very like almost, I get this sacral chakra vibe off of it, okay? Of if you're not channeling this passionate energy into sexual unions, creating children, creating projects, right? It is some kind of capacity of channeling your passion, your creativity. Um, so take it however it applies for you. Steve is asking, has anyone had here major revelations with the Scorpio eclipse? That would be interesting if y'all want to put the comments down below, and I'll read them back in a moment. And I got to think about that too. Let's give people a chance to respond to Steve's question. I'm going to keep reading off my notes, and then we'll circle back in a Jen Psaki kind of way. No, where we actually really do circle back instead of just talk about it. Okay, that's what we'll do. Anyway, all right. So right now, in the midst of this new moon in Sagittarius, we've got a lot of mutable energies right now with the moon, sun, Venus in Sagittarius, and Jupiter, Neptune conjunct in Pisces, and then Mars in Gemini. So this is also maybe again why there's this feeling of, well, you know, there's more flex and flow. This is more free flowing. It's more of an expansive feeling that you could be tapping into right now. However, some people don't take it that way. You know, depending on their own energetic signature, they might feel that this is a very unpredictable, unstructured time. All my Pisces just loves it, right? Again, if you're a mutable sign, you're gonna dig this stuff. You're gonna be totally in your zone, okay? But say the Earth signs, except for Virgo, maybe not digging it so much, okay? The dark zone here of this energy is that all of this free-flowing, expansive, unstructured type of energy could get people into some escapism and overindulgence, okay? So just beware of false optimism during this time, overestimating, overextending oneself, having unrealistic expectations. I have to talk myself, you know, I have to get logical with myself from time to time, right? Like I said to you, some of y'all are just really tapping into all this Jupiter conjunct Neptune energy and this new moon in Sagittarius energy. I mean, if you're just like really tapping into it, you could just start, you know, your mind could just start Neptuning out like mine can, you know, and I have to tell myself, to reel myself in and say, okay, Stephanie, let's go get some information and see if there's any substance to this. And then, you know, like for example, I was looking at two options, and one of them, like option A, I really wanted to work out, right? This is my wish. My wish is for plan A to work out, and my mind starts going on, ooh, the possibilities, the potential. I had another option B. I wasn't so fond of it, and so as I start talking and getting more information, I start realizing, I don't actually know that that's gonna go so great, and maybe option B that I wasn't too thrilled about is actually the better option. So again, just try to stay as grounded as possible with this energy. It can be a challenge. Use your earth placements. Use your fixed placements, any of those that you have, right? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, but maybe mainly Taurus, Capricorn, and I think you know what I'm saying. Okay, try to ground yourself. Also, watch out for spiritual bypassing and over spiritualizing things. Because right, this is very spiritual energy right now, where people can think that God is calling them to do something. You know, we used to get this a lot in the church, and I see this also in the New Age community. This spiritual bypassing or over spiritualizing things. Right, in the church, it was, well, the devil made me do it, or um, God called me to do this, and maybe did or didn't, who knows. Okay, or my favorite one is, all things happen for a reason. The Aquarian in me hates that. I hate that saying. I when people say that, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe the reason is that you didn't think that shit through. Maybe. So this is a kind of like, Neptuning out. All right, just be aware of that. And I think if you do feel lost about, well, what direction should I go, and am I really being spirit led to take this route, I would encourage each and every one of you to just try to use your moral compass at this time to navigate your way forward. And remember that the seeds that you sow now, they're likely not going to fully manifest until, you could see some things happening over the next 2 weeks, but I would say probably another 6 months when we get that full moon in Sagittarius. Okay, so even so, in the here and now, we got to look at what are we doing to shape reality right now and 6 months from now, right? My channel, my Aquarius only channel called Team Aquarius Tarot, I'm going to be looking at the numbers over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be hitting it hard. I've got like 5 videos a week on pre-schedule, auto release, and I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch and see, is it getting traction, am I getting engagement? I'm going to be monitoring over the next 2 weeks what happens with that seed sown. But honestly, I don't know that this is anything that is really going to pay off immediately. I might not see a payoff until 6 months from now. So try to keep that in mind. Don't expect this instant payoff of whatever you're sowing into right now, because yes, these are powerful energies and empowering energies, okay? But again, it's about staying grounded. It's positive, it's optimistic, but I'm not going to expect my channel to rake in the big bucks over the next 2 to 4 weeks. Hopefully I see a positive return on investment within the next 6 months, right? Okay, with the sun and the moon 1 degree in Sagittarius, trine Jupiter, retrograde in Pisces at 28 degrees, just this energy is reminding us to try to keep expanding, okay, and to consider the potential in situations and focus on what inspires you to create something, okay? You can get a lot of, like I've shared with you, that I've been experiencing a lot of creative downloads. Tap into it now, because this is a passing energy. Once we get out of Sagittarius season, you know what comes up next? Capricorn season. And Capricorn season is kind of the old man. He's a taskmaster. He's a disciplinarian. He's not the party animal that Sagittarius can be, all right? He's not Mr. Optimism. He could actually be pretty sober. So, and it'll be that time when it's like, we got to get down to business. So seize the moment now to tap into these creative ideas, because soon enough that window will be closed energetically, and then we have to get into this very mature, responsible, diligent energy that's not fun and exciting, okay? Ride the wave while you can is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Jupiter's really strong right now, by the way. It's pushing us to imagine all these possibilities and potentials. But it also, just bear in mind, again, with us getting out of Sagittarius season, similarly, Jupiter is, you know, not always going to be in Pisces, which is a great place for it, okay? It won't happen again for another 12 years from now. So again, it's just another layer of energy saying seize the moment, right? Sagittarius doesn't wait around. I have a Sagittarius daughter, by the way. Well, I call her triple fire. She's like got 3 fire placements. But I mean, she was always 10 steps ahead of me. I don't know if I ever told you, she's my Thanksgiving Day baby. She was born on Thanksgiving Day 2002, and I had her at home in a freak 2-hour birth, home birth. Her dad delivered her, and she came 2 weeks early. This child didn't care about a due date. She decided when her due date was. She decided, I'm getting ready to come out of the oven, and who cares about a textbook labor, 12 hours? Oh, hell no, we're going to knock this out in 2 hours. And that child has always been that way. That's my Sagittarius daughter. So think about that. You know, that this is a go, go, go energy, and if you don't get on it, well, you just might miss it. You just might miss it, okay? And also think back to earlier when I started filming, you know, I was talking about how we're coming out of eclipse season, right? And during eclipse season, particularly with that last new moon in Scorpio on October 25th, about a month ago, right? There was a lot of resentment around that time. Did you see it? Did you notice it in your family? Did you notice it within yourself? People around you? Now could be a time when this shifts, right? Like T. Witten said, plot twist, where people are a little bit more willing now than they were a month ago to let go of the resentment and set their differences aside, or at least work through it constructively, creatively. And with this new moon, Mercury, Venus, and Sagittarius, again, a lot of energy. It's very, right, it's a very energetic feeling, which could create an artificial high, could cause some people to go to extremes. As I said before, just keep checking in with yourself when you feel like, when you see possibilities or you get inspirational downloads. Write it, seize it, enjoy it, okay? But also just try to keep yourself grounded and asking yourself, you know, is the optimism based on something real and substantial, or is it false, okay? There's a lot of warmth and passion also with this energy. I'm digging it. I just love it. But I don't know, it almost also might be I'm deficient in fire. Well, my North Node is in Sagittarius in the 7th house, conjunct Neptune in my natal chart. So, you know, but that's the only fire placement I have. Well, Chiron and Aries, but we don't want to brag about that, right? That's nothing to brag about. Let's not own that, okay? Point is, I soak up the fire energy. So again, if you're like me and you're deficient in fire, you might be really loving this, right? Soaking it up. Air signs doing well too, probably. Air and fire are very compatible. Just side note. But final aspect transit I want to talk about: Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius, trining Chiron in Aries. Oh, that's funny. I did say I wanted to disown that, right? Well, okay. This is bringing about communications that could be healing. And again, if you're not talking to anybody, trying to heal some rifts, that may or may not have happened around the time of eclipse season. This could simply just be you trying to nurture yourself and work on the self-worth issues, particularly those of you who are Chiron and Aries babies, 70s babies like myself, right? Gen X. We were born during Chiron and Aries. So a lot of us are super triggered right now about it. I've got a lot of clients who are coming in going through this Chiron return in their chart that we usually hit around 50, 52 years old. Okay, so this is a time when the energies are again adding this nice loveliness to actually healing a pain point that regardless of, you know, your natal chart or what generation age you are, collectively we're all dealing with these self-worth issues that need to get healed, some more than others, right? Okay, and how does it affect you? Well, on a personal level, you know, I would say consider during this time taking a sabbatical if you haven't considered that already. Some of you may be going on a bit of a journey, a spiritual vacation, a spiritual detox session, sage your home, right? Something. Maybe get a reading for the new year ahead. Look at where this is hitting your chart uniquely, and then make a new plan for the new year ahead, and really look intentionally at how you can empower yourself, not just in the now, not just between, you know, now and the next 6 months as I've been talking about, but in the new year. Okay, that's something that you could do during this time. Relationship wise, whether we're talking romantic or family, friends, whomever, this is a time, as I said before, where we could work on the resentments if possible, right? Everybody has free will. The energy supporting it, but if people will themselves to not be open to it, it is what it is. You have to honor it, right? But we've got a lot of opportunities here to find creative solutions in these relationships towards what's workable, okay? Sustainable and trustworthy, right? I mean, if it's not workable, if it's not sustainable, it's not trustworthy, I guess, yeah, you gotta have to take action elsewhere. But if you can take action in that way, then yeah, talk it out. And try to heal in word and deed the insecurities that are within both parties. Because the energy is really supporting that. And again, this song came to me. I don't know why these 80s songs are coming to me lately, but Human League, I'm Only Human. I haven't heard that song. It's a beautiful, beautiful song from the 80s. Iconic 80s song, right? I'm only human. And I feel that that would be the sentiment that actually could help bring some healing of people saying, you know, I'm making mistakes, and I've made mistakes, and both parties coming in with that type of spirit to bridge some gaps and strengthen one another's weaknesses. That can be very empowering and uplifting during this time. In terms of money and career, resources, things like that, like I said earlier, I've launched a new channel, I've launched some projects. You know, maybe you're launching a new business or a little side hustle or something like that. Tap into your creative ideas during this time that could generate you some prosperity over the next 6 to 12 months. Look into like intellectual property, okay? And some of you, this is an energy that would help you overcome any limitations in your thinking in the past that would say, oh, I can't do that, or it takes money to make money. Oh my gosh, the stuff that I did like on Society 6, you know, I made those designs on Canva for free, and then I uploaded them for free onto Society 6. And that brings in passive money to me. And again, I mean, I might not make any sales at all off of that in the near future, but 6 months from now, maybe I start getting enough traffic over there, and boom, that's work I'm doing today that is done once that can pay off in the future many, many times over. So whatever you're doing, have a long-term strategy, consider passive income um, potentials where, yeah, you make it one time, you sell it 24/7 in your sleep to a global audience, you know, and you get passive return on investment indefinitely. Um, this is also an energy that really highlights spiritual work, philosophical work, so that would be really positive if you're doing something creative in those lines of work. Finally, I'm going to close out and I'm going to look at your comments because I've seen a lot coming in, okay? But I want to close out to talk about what's going on in the world at large, all right? I want to speak mostly to the United States because, you know, I'm from America. Most of my audience is from America or Canada, which is our neighbors, right? And it is, and I don't mean to be so in a bubble, you know what I mean? But there is a saying that as the United States goes, so does the world. And a lot of people are looking at what's going on in the United States right now. And so I pulled up the United States natal chart and what's happening under this transit. And I can see that the sun and moon are in the United States natal 12th house. So there's a lot of reflecting going on in terms of what's happened with, you know, self-sabotage, hidden enemies within this country. It's a house having to do with secrets, sorrows, involving, well, I mean, I think we all know what this is involving at this rate, but yes, I think it's definitely triggering cost of living issues and how the authorities have impacted families. Okay, so a lot of people's minds right now are being opened. I'd say that definitely in America, emotions are being healed as well. A lot of character is being built. I think over the next 4 weeks, if you just look at the energies impacting the United States natal chart, there's a lot of truth and healing that is coming forth, and I think people realizing they have to level up, okay, because what they thought was reality, who they thought they could trust, and this is also, you know, 12th house is a lot about powerlessness and people realizing, you know, I can't wait for somebody to rescue me. I've got to rescue myself. I've got to stop sitting around on my laurels waiting for somebody else to do it for me. I have to be my own hero. And I do feel over the next 4 weeks with the energy in the United States, that's becoming increasingly clear, okay? There are a lot of positive aspects to Mercury going on in the United States natal chart. How the way that Mercury is impacting the United States natal chart, I should say, a lot of positive aspects, bringing in more harmonious conversations, improved understanding. I'm personally seeing this manifest on Twitter through Elon, okay? Right, we just saw Mr. T brought back on, and I see they're trying to bring some censored doctors back and some alternative media journalists on there as well. And so I think over the next 4 weeks we could see that as more of this lifting and unveiling and looking behind the veil, right, so to speak, which is very 12th house, but also Mercury, the way that Mercury is impacting here. I feel like even when I go on Twitter, there's more of a discourse, and that's something that didn't happen. And I think I mentioned that the last time I went live talking about the astrology, where we had echo chambers. We had the two were not really coming together. And now I don't know exactly entirely what Elon has done over there with the algorithms, the bots, the whatevers, or maybe just simply firing all those employees who were basically there to moderate content, right? getting rid of those people and getting them out of the way so that we can actually talk to one another. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Elon. That's nice. We're actually starting to be less conflicted, right? As the truth is coming in, people are starting to get on the same page about things. And I know we've got a ways to go, but we're getting there over the next 4 weeks. I do, I have to say, yes, of course, there's still a lack of clarity about hidden motives, particularly having to do with sickness and what's going on in the, news concerning that. There was somebody who recently, I think he was from the CDC, put out some presser, and that was all over Twitter, and people are just like knocking that shit down and like dispelling and all of that. So I see stuff going on where we're still getting people that are lying and deceiving and manipulating, and of course you're going to get that, okay? Because we have Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn putting the squeeze on humanity, right? The authorities putting a squeeze on humanity in conjunct natal Neptune, the United States natal Neptune in Pisces in the third house, which is bringing a lot of distortion to what we're getting in the media. And unfortunately, that's going to go on until January 23rd of next year. So be careful of deception in the media. Even though I just said what I said about Mercury making some nice aspects, and and you can definitely see it, there's still lurking in the background this energy of censorship and propaganda, specifically regarding, again, if you look at the astrology, this would be regarding inflation, mega corporations, big pharma, the energy industry, the stock market. And so, that's where you, big agra as well. So this is where you've got to really just be careful with what you're hearing, especially regarding those topics, because realistically we are looking at problems, continued problems with censorship, people in authority hiding information, don't want accountability, don't want investigation, don't want exploratories, or right, what's going on with Kerry Lake in Arizona, don't want to recount, but they don't want to certify. Oh my, okay. People trying to evade accountability. Be aware that this type of energy is going to be lurking over the next 2 years, with Saturn remaining in the United States third house. So we're coming out of it. The veil is lifting, but we got another 2 years of trying to get free of this demon, okay? And yeah, there's a lot of Americans that are frustrated right now. It can come out in the communications at times, or at least conflicted within themselves in their own thought life about how are they going to get fulfillment, how are they going to get expansion with their lives, where is my abundance, I put in on this, I did what I was told, where is mine? You know what I'm saying? And again, with Saturn and Aquarius in the third house, sesquiquadrate natal Jupiter and Cancer in the seventh house, again, this is going to be like over the next 2 months. Probably, again, I think a lot of frustration is because of the squeeze that is on financially during the holiday time, and then people are going to come into the new year with this of, well, I might have these goals that I'm going to do this business or move over here or buy this or buy that, or I want to increase my life in some way, but oh, wait a second, how am I actually going to manifest that in this reality? Based on what I've been told reality is, or what I believe reality is, and is something else going to come out that I didn't even, somebody going to pull another, rabbit out of the hat. Be aware also of aggression and warfare in the United States, involving the United States with supposed allies, WEF, ties, right? Woke corporations, these people who are, you know, in lockstep with one another and they have the same virtue signaling, you know, you can identify them. If it's time to put a rainbow flag up, they all got a rainbow flag in their profile. If it's time to put a Ukraine flag up, they've all got the Ukraine flag. Those people who cannot think for themselves, the corporations, the wokeism, you know, the what's the next thing type people, watch out. Those are the people where we're getting some kind of struggle over the next 5 months. And on a more interpersonal level, I can see struggles within relationships. I am, just side note, I'm going to get a little ahead of myself, but I got to say this. Next year, the nodes are shifting from Taurus and Scorpio into Aries and Libra. Libra being very relationship, 7th house. And I'm concerned. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I'm very concerned about it. I will talk about it, you know, as we get closer to that energy. I am concerned that over the next year, this struggle that we're seeing right now with relationships is going to result into a lot of relationships falling out, sadly, okay, because there's selfishness, warring type of energy, all right, just be aware of that. But back to what's going on right now with the U.S. natal chart, Mars conjunct natal Mars. We are, over the next 4 months as a country, getting off into a time of new beginnings, right? I mean, it's generally collectively new beginnings, right, with the new moon in Sagittarius. But you look at the fact that at the same time, Mars is conjunct the United States natal Mars. And also Mars square is squaring natal Jupiter, United States natal Jupiter. We're looking at, again, more continued conflict, struggle, competition, warfare showing up in America. And for me, when I look at these energies, I feel like this has a lot to do with, right, I don't know if you recently caught the news on FTX with the money laundering that's been going on, that scandal involving this cryptocurrency FTX. If you go onto Twitter, if you don't know about it, hashtag FTX on Twitter, because they're not talking about it in a lot of places, okay? This is such a huge scandal where basically people were putting money into this cryptocurrency, and come to find out it was being funneled back to the Democrat Party. And now we just found out, I just saw yesterday that Biden sent even more money to Ukraine. And apparently this guy at FTX, he was tied to Ukraine, World Economic Forum in some way. So they're saying this was a money laundering scheme between, again, I'm not saying this YouTube, I'm reporting what other people said, that I got to make sure to say that the report is, investigate for yourself. I'm not your fact checker, you're your fact checker, right? The report is that the money laundering was going from, you know, U.S. taxpayer funds, the Biden administration sending foreign aid through to Ukraine, it being funneled through FTX, who was then donating to the Democrat Party. And it just kept going in this loop, this money laundering loop. So things like that coming out recently, and we keep going on. Like, why are we sending more money to the Ukraine when we're finding out all about all these scandals, money laundering? Like, right, Pelosi and Biden, they have family members on the boards of different energy companies in Ukraine. Why? What's going on here? Like, why isn't anybody looking into this? Well, we don't have in real investigative journalism anymore, and the people who were trying to step into that role got taken down by Twitter, right? So I digress. Anyway, as all this news about FTX has been coming out, we've also had revelations. I've seen them on Twitter of apparently there's people in leadership in Ukraine who are into their beliefs are in NAZI, right? NAZI. I feel like I'm getting into a touchy zone, so I'm gonna try to like watch my words carefully, because this platform, we need Elon to buy this platform or something, or go to Rumble. I try to take y'all to different places, but the audience is not quite there. So anyway, I've been seeing reports on Twitter that there's infiltration of Nazi ideology over there in that country, that they've been programming the children, the youth, for the last 10 years to hate the Russians. Okay, that's what's been going on culturally in Ukraine. And so why was this a psyop performed against those people to foment this lucrative war? Because you know there's people profiting off of this, right? Was this also to leverage resources of Ukraine? So there's a lot coming out, and just keep all that in mind as you see this struggle continue over the next 4 months with the way Mars is hitting the United States, Mars placement in the natal chart of the United States, I should say. And also keep in mind that we have Pluto conjunct the United States natal Pluto in the second house, which is more very warlike energy, very powerful energy, transformative, and Jupiter in the fourth house sextile Pluto over the next 2 months, which is impacting the money supply, issues affecting food, families. And I think on the positive note that, again, this Jupiter sextiling this Pluto placement is having us look at, okay, this is on the positive, right? How can we creatively solve this problem? There's an intense change of values going on in America right now, whether people realize it or not, okay? But with Jupiter sextiling Pluto in the fourth house, this is really like, okay, creatively, how do we change things on the home front and at the most basic level in terms of nurturing home, family, sense of belonging, and with the food issues that are going on, it brought me back to people coming up with creative solutions to these issues, which the energy is supporting. But it made me think of this. Many years ago, I watched this documentary called Thrive, I believe, if I remember correctly. And in that movie, in that documentary, they were talking about this novel idea. The guy was like, why are we shipping food all over the world? It's inefficient. It's not good for the supposed environment, for people who care about the environment. Why are we doing this? Why don't we just repurpose like abandoned industrial buildings within major cities and gut them out and repurpose them as community gardens, turn them into like greenhouses, and people who are hungry, they can come there and work for their food by working the garden, in exchange for a number of hours of working the community garden, community greenhouse. They can take home, bags of food. Okay, why are we not doing stuff like this? Because people don't actually, despite all the woke agenda and the virtue signaling and all these corporations, big agro, whatever, they don't actually care about saving the environment. They care about cheap labor. That's why they'll make one product that is grown in one area of the world and then shipped to be packaged in one other area of the world, and then shipped over somewhere else to be sold in another area that was so inefficient, so wasteful, because they don't care about the environment, they care about cheap labor. But again, my point is with this energy is there a better way? Can we get some divine download, some inspiration of how to solve these limitations, to transcend these limitations that are going on with the money supply and the food supply and all of that? And I think if we tap into it definitely over the next 2 months, there could be some transcendence of these limiting situations. I think that's what the energy is really allowing for. But I am going to get on and look at some of these questions, because y'all been chatty, and I love that. I love that. I'm going to catch up with y'all and see what I missed and read the comments back. Oh yeah, I love that y'all been talking so much. Boy, okay, and go all the way back. Green Eyes is here. Good to see you. Green Eyes says hello from Columbus, Ohio. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. And what else? You know what I love about these comments? It's y'all are so tapping into the energy, right? Because I think y'all been very reluctant in the past, but I think it's bringing about a more of a chatty nature with people, more outgoing, more exuberant, more optimistic, and I feel that in the chats right now. T. Witten says she's getting ready for work. Well, have a good night at work, T. Witten. Nun's laughing. The devil made me do it. That's funny. Yeah, I know. And Steve Silva's saying, the devil made me do it will not hold up in the court of law. That's right. That is absolutely right. Nor will God made me do it, is what Nun says. Have to agree. Steve is saying controlled expansion is better than very uncontrolled expansion. That's a great point, and I think that's another thing, to just keep in mind, because I talked to y'all about grounded manifestation, okay, and not being unrealistic. But I like the way that Steve has put it, where it's like we get expansion, but try to be, kind of controlled about it, not out of control and all over the place. None saying reality doesn't exist. Hadn't you heard? Yeah, I don't know. I know we're in the Matrix, okay? I know we're in the Matrix, so. None saying I was Sagittarius mother. And Steve is saying, so have I. November 28th, yes. My daughter, was born November 28th. She's like way ahead, always has been. And it's interesting because Steve is saying that his mom is 15th of December. My grandfather and my stepmother, 15th of December. And I believe best friend of mine for years, 15th of December, something about that date. My gosh, powerful date. Okay, so let's see what other comments we have here. None is saying coffee grounds, sea salt, brown sugar, garlic, cinnamon clears on a huge level on a charcoal tablet. Cinnamon is very healthy. I'm not sure what y'all are talking about with all that. Kristen is here. Good to see you, Kristen. She says, thank you for doing these readings. I appreciate it. Well, thank you. Thanks for being here. And Nana's saying, everyone shows Stephanie some love. Donations are welcome. Well, of course, like I talk about my tips. I'll talk about them again tonight. Thanks for mentioning Nana. And every little bit counts, because as some of you know, I'm going off on a great adventure. Lord willing, by the end of the month, I am moving. This is going to be the last time today is the last time I film live from here, God willing. And I still don't, I have an idea where I'm going, but it's not entirely solid yet. And so y'all pray for me. And obviously any little help helps, because I kind of got sidelined with a lot of, I'm not going to repeat it, but if y'all want to know, go back and watch a few of my other lives. Particularly the live that I went on, I guess about a week ago. I'm trying to remember. Steve says my other YouTube channel hit 600 yesterday. Awesome, Steve. Can you share the name of the channel here so people can check it out? I don't know if it's in English or in your native tongue. Is it Estonian? Yeah. So, but yeah, absolutely share that, because I like us to help each other, okay? Nana's saying maybe I should open a channel with my poetry. Absolutely. People love that kind of stuff, Nana. Especially if you've got maybe like some music and some beautiful graphics in the background, and people like to, there are some channels I know on here that just do like stories, like story time channel, that people like just to listen to some story read to them before they go to bed at night. And so if you like create a channel where you're reading to people and you've got some nice graphics, visuals, and maybe some music overlaid in the background, it could be very, very nice. Okay. Okay, so Steve's channel is, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, okay, because it's Estonian, so I don't even know that anybody can listen to it, but I think it's Tool Oz. I hope I said it right. Translation, Fire Ace, right? Because for those of y'all who don't know, Steve is a fire sign. He's a Leo. He's my opposite. All right. I have it mostly focused on the people of Estonia, who I want to teach about the same things Stephanie talks about here. Awesome. Nana says I'm in Oregon because of COVID. Wanted to live in Mount Shasta. Oh my gosh, Mount Shasta. I've heard so much about that with the frequencies. I'd love to go out there and check that out sometime. It's in California, right? So, I don't know if I'll ever get out there, but it sounds fun. None. Steve is saying media deception is definitely something to watch out for everywhere in the world. Most worrying for me is the water situation in the southern states. Yes. So I'm going to do a little bit of personal sharing. One of the options I have on my great adventure that awaits me at the end of the month, I am so putting a positive spin on this, okay, on this fallout from eclipse season, but one of my great adventures is I know somebody who has a houseboat. I believe over by the port of Houston, okay? And I've been hearing that this person, along with other people at that dock or pier, at the dock, yeah, they're like all chatting amongst themselves about how they're gearing up to leaving and trek on over to Florida if the shit hits the fan. And they are very concerned about this as well. It's an interesting point you make, Steve. And so I told this person, like, you know, we talked about the possibility of me going over there to the houseboat. It's open-ended, like I don't plan on being there forever, right? But this person said, well, you know, I'm just going to let you know that if something goes down, I will be leaving with my boat for Florida. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I wasn't told you can't come, but this person was just like, you know, I may or may not stay here. And I basically have prepped so that I could leave within an hour to 12 hours of being notified that some stuff is going down. And if some bullshit's going down, me and a bunch of other people at this dock are leaving. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's wild. So, yeah, okay, so Nun is saying media world is owned by two people. Propaganda is alive and well in their pockets. Don't believe it. In Greece, you could hear music from everywhere. In the US, only American music. Well, yeah, I mean, I've long heard that the world knows that we're being propagandized. Everybody knows we're being propagandized except the Americans. I think that they're waking up, okay? I think that some people are waking up finally, but it's just wild. It's wild. We're still dealing with people who are asleep and in denial and all of that. But like I said with the astrology earlier, that's lessening. Steve is saying there is now huge military base expansion in the Baltic Seas, the Baltic states. They are seizing land from people. That is absolutely brutal. The warfare going on there. Ukraine will be a divided country for decades, even if peace would start today. I think you're right, Steve. And Steve knows, because him being in Estonia, he's closer, right? He's closer than we are in the United States. So I give a lot of credit to what Steve says. And I know Steve. You know, I've been talking to Steve for like, gosh, years now. Probably like 3 or 4 years now. We've been talking off and on. So he's very knowledgeable about politics in that area of the world. Nana said I have to run. I have to get a move on. Everyone take care and stay safe. Love you, Stephanie. Take care. Bye, everyone. Okay, bye to you too, Nanan. And Steve is saying big corps have destroyed the beef and pork markets as well, made it inefficient for small farmers to raise their own livestock. And Truth Warrior is here. I haven't seen Truth Warrior in quite a while. Good to see you. Do you think Mars retrograde will affect world events? Hello from Dublin, Ohio. Good to see you, Truth Warrior, and that's cool. Dublin, Ohio. I think that what's happening with Mars retrograde is that people are, right, retrograde is looking back, reassessing, and in Gemini, having to do with information, news, media, communications, thought. I think people are very much, even as new things happen, right, like yesterday with Biden giving more money to Ukraine, people are looking back and saying, oh, wait a minute, why do you keep sending these people money? And how much do they have now? You start looking back and tallying it up, like how much money did we already give these people? And now you got information coming out saying, oh yeah, you know the information that was given to them? Well, they put it over to FTX and then they donated to the Democrat Party, and right, so it's all this revising and reanalyzing and reviewing war efforts in light of what's going on presently. So I think actually is serving a purpose of helping people to like wake up to what's going on, that basically they found a way to get the American taxpayers to fund the Democrat Party, more or less, and the scandal. And so people, you know, have you been noticing that we're seeing less and less of these people that are putting the I support Ukraine flags in their bios on their profiles? We're seeing less and less and less of that. And even more information coming out, like I said earlier, where people are starting to look at how Ukrainians have been culturally conditioned, the social engineering that's gone on, the propaganda that to get children and the youth to hate Russians. And we're starting to look at warfare through a totally different lens, in a totally different perspective, in light of new information regarding what's already been done. And I think that by the time we come out of Mars retrograde mid-January, well, it's still going to be in Gemini, right? But I think that people are just not going to go along with this bullshittery anymore, okay? T Witness saying Back to Eden documentary and Joel Salatin. I don't know anything about that. But yeah, we could look into it. And Steve is saying, I have to go soon, but as a closing thought, if someone comes to you with offers of freebies, doubt their true intention of charity. I know. Oh God, I know. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Story of my life. All right, so yeah, I think I'm going to end on that note because, you know, we're going to go live again tonight. And when I go live again tonight, we're going to be on for like 3 hours, okay? I don't know why I said 4. I almost said 4. Why did I say that? 3. Okay, we're shooting for 3. And I got a lot of positive, uplifting decks. So I'm going to see where are you getting the spiritual support right now and what you're going through. Where's the blessing? Like, yeah, let's talk about possibilities. Let's talk about positivity. Okay, that's what I really want to tap into tonight. Of course, we're going to talk about the astrology. So make sure that you are looking out for that at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time when I go live for that. And again, just a reminder for those of you who don't know, I have a new Aquarius video coming out at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on my new channel, Team Aquarius Tarot. If you want the link for that, it's on my community page, okay? And let's see, do we have anything else? I think that's all I have for now. All right. Y'all be blessed, and I'll see you later on tonight.